A lot of teams in college basketball are looking to bounce back or break out this upcoming season. When I say bounce back or break out, I'm talking teams that haven't been to the tournament in minimum like 2 to 3 plus years, if not more, like 5 or 10 plus for some big time programs. A lot of offseason hype around teams that haven't been good in the last few years, so they're not all going to be good this year. I am going to fully dive into the bounce back teams in college basketball this year. I'm going to give you two separate lists. I'm going to give you 5 teams and programs really that need to break out or bounce back for their program's sake. I'm going to give you 5 teams that I genuinely think will actually bounce back or break out this upcoming season. 5 college basketball teams that need to bounce back this season for the sake of their program. We're starting off with Syracuse. They have missed the last 4 tournaments in a row for the first time since 1972. This is a program that went to 6 Final Fours. They won a national championship with Melo, and they hired Red Autry as their guy. He was an internal dude who was supposed to keep the ship going after Jim Boeheim, and he has not been up to the Syracuse standard or really any decent program standard at all. Only been 2 years for him, but it has been 2 very bad years in a bad ACC conference, and they've had good teams. Like, you look at their rosters and their talent, they've had good players, and going into this season, returning Donnie Freeman and JJ Starling, bringing in Kyan Anthony, William Kyle, like, their team needs to be good this year because it should be good this year. Ohio State has missed 3 tournaments in a row, and before that, they went to 13 out of the last 16. Go back to 2024 when Jake Diebler got hired. It was towards the end of the year. He had a great finish to that season as the interim head coach. So they say, you know what? He did well in 11 games. Let's make him our full-time head coach and not look at what else is out there. And that was the risk. Like, they wanted to continue being good because they were good with him for 11 games, and it hasn't been up to that same level of success by any means. The team should be good. Like, when you look at them on paper, they have talent, they have good players. Analytically, they've been good. They ranked number 37 in KenPom last year at the end of the season, but they finished 17-15, losing so many close games, and I think you can look to coaching and schematics in a way for that. So going into this year with another good roster, Ohio State needs to be a tournament team for Jake Diebler's sake. Georgetown hasn't been good in over a decade thanks to Pat Ewing, but they see Ed Cooley as the savior. When I grew up, Georgetown was one of the biggest, baddest basketball brands out there. They were going to Final Fours. They were getting 1 and 2 seeds, or at least being a really good team. Ed Cooley has Big East experience. He flipped the Providence program on a full 180. That's why Georgetown brought him here to do the same thing. History is there. The brand is there. He's been recruiting well. He's had financial resources to spend there. I just think this is going to be a big time make or break year for Ed Cooley and Georgetown. 2 schools with new coaches, Indiana and Villanova. Now, maybe it's not fair to have 2 programs with brand new head coaches on this list for needing to be good, but these are 2 programs of rich history and success, especially Nova. In the last 10 years, they won 2 national championships. Like, it wasn't that long ago. Darian DeVries and Kevin Willard have experience. They've been around. They were brought in to be good right away. Both of their rosters are good enough to be solid tournament teams this year, and those fan bases, especially the Indiana one, are not going to take anything less than that, honestly, in year 1. And I want to mention USC, even though it's only been 1 year for the must bust. He had Arkansas winning at a high level, recruiting at a high level. Come to a school like USC where recruiting should be easier than anywhere in the country. He had a top 20 transfer class last year. He's got a top 10 transfer class this year. It's not easy relying so heavily on transfers, but Muss is a good coach. He's built this high standard for himself. Elijah Arenas being out for the year does suck and it doesn't help, but this USC team should still firmly be a tournament team this year based on quality. Now flipping the other way, 5 college basketball teams that will bounce back this season. Honorable mention is San Francisco, who I think is a very underrated WCC and mid-major team. Their roster is good and balanced. They have a really tough schedule to play. Syracuse and Notre Dame in the ACC. I like the Cuse roster. I just don't have the faith in Red Autry, and it's honestly the complete opposite for Notre Dame. I love Micah Shrewsbury. He's an amazing coach. I think what he's building long-term is good. I just look at their roster, and I still don't see an amazing one, but they're in the ACC. They have some continuity returning back, so I think they could be a breakout team. Ohio State and Indiana in the Big Ten, I've talked about both of them. They both have the quality and caliber to be a tournament team this year. There is no excuse, in my opinion. Maybe Indiana doesn't have a lot of depth, but those teams should be tournament teams this year. And I want to mention St. Louis. Josh Schertz brought over the entire Indiana State mantra and program and a lot of the players over to St. Louis. It wasn't amazing in year 1, but it was a solid year 1. And now year 2 of him and some of the transfers, like their best player, Robbie Avila, is where you start to see a big turn sometimes. So I think the Billikens are definitely a team to watch in the A-10 that could be a sneaky tournament team. Now the 5 teams that I really believe in more to bounce back. I think UNLV could and probably should be a tournament team this year. It ain't going to be easy because everything is new. Every single player is new. Josh Pastner is a new coach who hasn't coached in a couple of years. But when you look at their roster, Dre Gibbs Lawhorn, Miles Che, Kamani Hamilton, Naz Cunningham, Al Green, like, damn, the team is good. Josh Pastner is a creative and crafty coach, and maybe this team has a low floor and a high ceiling and a lot of variability, but I like them. I talked about them, but the must-bust and USC should be good this year, even without Elijah Arenas, which if he was healthy, I'd be all in. Rodney Rice is awesome. Chad Baker-Mazara doesn't get enough credit for his actual quality on the floor. Jordan Marsh, crafty guard, 19-4-4 at UNC Asheville. They've got a loaded front court. Ezra Asar, Jaden Brownell, Amarian Dickerson, Jacob Kofi from UVA is super, super underrated and is going to fit in so well. They also get Terrence Williams back returning. Like, with Muss and this quality, they should be no less than a tournament team. Loyola Chicago is not one to forget this year. They've gotten better each of the 3 seasons under Drew Valentine, up to 25 wins last year. They've got their point guard healthy and back in Justin Moore. They're returning Miles Rubin. They've got Dom Harris coming in from UCLA, Loyola, Gonzaga. They've got Josh Olajoseph, a power guy from Cal in Minnesota. They're going to be a very good defensive team. They ended last year strong. Sister Jean is turning 106 this year. So if nothing, do it for her. And I do think Loyola is actually going to be good. Number 2 is the Iowa Hawkeyes. There's something to be said about good coaches and programs just succeeding at every single level of the sport. And Ben McCollum is no stranger to that. He was a national title champion coach for a decade plus in the D2 level. He brought that whole entire program and system right to Drake, and they were amazing, winning the MVC and a tournament game in year 1. So to some level, they should succeed in the Big Ten. Schematically, he's one of the best coaches in the country. They don't have the talent and roster outlook like a lot of the other Big Ten teams do, but they didn't last year either going into Drake. They bring over a lot of the Drake guys, including obviously their fearless leader in Bennett Sturts, who is already one of the best players in the entire country. They had some power guys around them. Like, I don't know what a fully fair expectation is. I'd say being a tournament team is probably the floor of standard, and if things go well, I could see Iowa being a high 5 or 6 seed in the tournament. My number 1 bounce back team is Washington. They've been to 1 tournament in 14 years, but that is going to change this year. They weren't good in year 1 last year, but Danny Sprinkle is a great head coach. He was great at Montana State and Utah State, and their roster is damn good. They're returning only Zoom Diallo and Frank Kepnang. They've got an elite freshman class led by JJ Mandequit, who Wesley Yates already said is the best point guard he's ever played with. He looked great at FIBA U19 for USA. Hannes Steinbach, who's hybrid 4-5, freshman coming in from Germany. I love his game. He looked amazing at FIBA U19 for Team Germany. And then the transfer portal, Desmond Cloud and Wesley Yates, both coming from USC. Wesley Yates, the boomerang who was at Washington before that. Kwamari Peterson, SoCon Player of the Year at ETSU. This man is an absolute baller. They've got another Conference Player of the Year in Jacob Ignacevic coming from the ASUN in Lipscomb, who was in the tournament last year. I'm not saying that they're going to be this top 15 to 20 team in the country for the entire season. I look at a team like Vanderbilt coming into last year. They had a really big in volume and in quality transfer class. They didn't have a lot of public national expectation, but they had a good season. They ended up as, I think, a 10 seed in the tournament. I think that's a good floor for Washington this year, and they should be at the worst a 10 seed in the tournament. And there we are. That's going to do it for the bounce back and breakout teams to watch in college basketball this year. If you're still here at the end, I love you extra. I thank you extra for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you can stay tapped in the entire offseason and college basketball season year round. Again, appreciate y'all. Have a good one.